Return of the council. Commander Tate. Welcome in, one and all. Welcome in. Long waits. How are we doing? Gavin, forgot you existed. Jack, haven't seen you in years. What's new? How's it?
We survived. I survived my finals. Didn't fail any of my classes. Life is good.
Talking to royalty right now.
Yeah, these are the two
men with buys.
Oh my gosh.
What could have been?
The two people that will not win a playoff game.
Thanks to Terry for scoring 8 touchdowns from Ingram, Judy, and Miles Sanders.
Yeah,
just as we all predicted.
That was nuts. Well, today, Luke may or may not be joining us, but today we're going to go over the frenzy that happened at the trade deadline, as well as give us some playoff preview. I know you're excited, all the listeners, the league, all 12 of you, 11. Wait, I guess it'd be like 8.
Yeah.
Anyway,
30% of the league
excited.
Podcast.
And we're excited too. We're excited to talk about the trades. We've been talking in the group about like the trades the whole time, kind of, but we want to really dive into them and with some hindsight, of course, be able to, talk about what has become of them, give our predictions and stuff like that. So without further ado, we're going to pull up the trade, starting with, I think it was the December 3rd trade.
We're going back. Yeah.
Or not December 3rd. Well, so we didn't really talk about this, but we talked about it a lot in the group chat, Kittle and Zay Jones. Now it looks, at the time, it looks really bad. We talked about all these, Gavin. Oh, but we didn't post the podcast with those.
Whoops. Yeah. I mean, we talked about those mostly.
Yeah, I don't think we posted that one. Anyway, just going to touch on the Kittle Jones. Kittle has looked like a bust, but Debo going down might help him. And then Zay Jones has looked phenomenal. So ended up being a good trade for LJ. And then the first significant one that we're actually going to pause on for a moment is Saquon and McCaffrey. At the time, when it first happened, I was trying to convince myself of how this is good for Whipple, getting Barkley instead of McCaffrey. And I was talking to Jack, and I was trying to talk myself into it. And I eventually had talked myself into, you know what, this could be good for Barkley over CMC. Just that CMC's got a tough schedule. Brock Purdy, who's to say he checks down? Who's to say their offense can even have scoring opportunities? Saquon is definitely on a scoring opportunity team, playing for playoffs. And then week 14 happened, and McCaffrey goes for 29 after following up a 28 game, and Barkley goes for 6. So I think it is fair to say this argument is settled. McCaffrey was the better pick, and LG just gets a free upgrade. What do y'all think?
I mean, I have to agree with that. I didn't really understand the logic here of getting rid of McCaffrey for Saquon, because McCaffrey has a better floor and ceiling. Just didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I'm never a huge fan of these kind of trades, like one-for-ones, especially when they're involving like elite players at the same position. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't really know why Spencer would do this. Like, how does Saquon make his team any better than if McCaffrey's on it instead? Like, I don't know. I don't understand the thought process behind it, but it is what it is, and I think Spencer loses, but who knows? Maybe McCaffrey scores 10 next week and Saquon scores 30. So
I kind of wish we had, and it has only been 1 week, but I kind of wish we had the text receipts so that we see what happened.
What were they thinking?
Yeah.
Who even offers that? Like, when I think of trading, I don't think like, here's my best player for your best player. Like, I don't know.
Doesn't make much sense to me.
Well, if it's on LJ, like if LJ offers it, it's kind of just like a shoot your shots type of deal. Like, why
Yeah.
not send
Yeah.
it? But it's also kind of like
Why would you
disrespectful if
accept it, man?
it's like, bro, like, why would I do this? But it's kind of what happened with like Max and I, except he actually had a reason to get rid of this guy. When he traded me Godwin for Olave, and I was just like, okay, I'll accept. Like, there was no talk about it, but I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. Maybe Barkley plays better in the playoffs. Who knows? Um, the big trade though, the first big trade of the December deadline happened at 3:10 p.m. It was Luke and Jack, so a council trade. That means that there may or may not be a winner. Usually it's neutral. But in this case, so far as it has looked like Jack definitely got a huge boost to his roster, receiving Fournette and Chase, and giving up Higgins, Gibson, Fields. Jack, before we give it to you, Gav, I want to hear your thoughts. I know obviously we have a week in advance to look at it, but I remember you saying that you viewed Higgins and Chase very, very similarly, and that this was not a good trade for Jack. Now, do you see it differently?
Well, I do think I have to see it a little bit differently now that Higgins seems to have some sort of injury. But I do think that gaining, to me at the time, I didn't think Gibson for Fournette was much of an upgrade, but it obviously is now because, oh, look who it is.
Mm.
The man himself.
Speak of the devil.
What's up?
Speaking of
We're
the devil,
discussing. We are mid podcast discussing a trade.
Ooh, fun. I know I'm mid podcast. I'm sorry I'm late.
join
Beloved
us.
listeners.
Welcome, sir. We
I
have
had to eat some za.
some raccoon pizza.
Yeah, some like super trash, like straight out of the dumpster pizza. That's what happened.
No, that was a joke to your
Callback.
Oh yeah. It's the little raccoon man.
Mhm.
Now I feel like I have to pull him up real quick. Let me go get him.
Yeah, but I did think that I did see Higgins and Chase as not equals, but I thought that I wouldn't be willing to pay very much to upgrade from Higgins to Chase, just because you never know which one of those two is going to be the guy who goes off, and they both are capable of doing it. And Chase probably has a little better floor and a little higher likelihood of going off, but I didn't view it as a huge difference. But then Higgins went out there and played one snap and was apparently had an injury that wasn't reported. So
Man, he did that shit to me earlier in the year.
it's
Pissed
so
me off.
stupid.
Pain, man.
But I texted William and I said I'm glad to see Fields go to the toilet bowl and no longer be, because I was afraid of Justin Fields
Yep. Same.
and I was also afraid of Higgins. So now I only have one player to be afraid of because I'm not afraid of Fournette. That's for darn sure. Which I'm sure that'll bite me in the ass. But
Well, Luke, I know you were fielding offers for Chase, but we told Jack that we're going to give him the floor next. So we can hear about how it goes down between both of you. Jack, I'd like to hear your thought process about offering for Chase and if you had to, give more than you wanted or anything like that.
Yeah, so I knew I had to shop Fields, just where my team was at compared to the rest of the teams that were making the playoffs. I knew I had to use Fields to get an elite player, and I think Jamar Chase is that much better than T. Higgins. And maybe that's just me being a T. Higgins owner. Every Bengals game I watch, it's Joe Burrow snaps it, stares down Jamar Chase for 3 seconds, and then if he's not there, then he'll finally look around. Like, there's very few times when off rip he is like looking for T. Higgins, which was just kind of frustrating. But Jamar Chase is, I mean, I can't blame him. He's the better receiver. And something that was worrying me about Fields, like obviously he has a great rushing upside, but it felt like 3 or 4 games in a row he broke off like a 50-yard touchdown run, and I was like, okay, is this sustainable? he's gonna going against tougher defenses coming up. Which I mean, now that I have the bye, I would only have to worry about Buffalo and Detroit. I don't know. I think Fields is a massive down. Like Fields to Watson is a massive downgrade, but it's more of me taking a shot. And originally, I was offering Higgins, Fields, and Gibson for Chase and ETN. And Luke was kind of on the fence, and he told me a couple other offers, and I was like, I have to get Jamar Chase. Like I just need the chance of him giving me like a 50 burger, which is what he got in the championship. Like I need that to beat a team like Gavin, unless he just has a bad week. So I was willing to downgrade a Fournette, and then I looked at it and I was like, I mean, Fournette's worst game is going to be 10 points because he gets 7 checkdowns a game. Like he's
So stupid.
it's literally like a poor man's Mondre at this point. Like it's funny because if he was the lead back, if Rashad White or vice versa were ever to go down, they would be 20 points guaranteed every week because
Absolutely.
like combined they get like 14 checkdowns at least. So I still think Fournette, like I don't know, he still has a potential to give me like a 25-point week, whereas Gibson is kind of like, I don't know, I was getting a little worried about him. And I think ETN has also been a little bit I didn't see it as
He's in
that
a
big
rough
of a
patch.
Yeah, and he
ETN.
plays
So
Dallas.
I saw ETN has finished as a top 17 running back like 3 times this year, which is like kind of crazy. I don't know how accurate that is, but
He
it's
just had a
something to like,
3-game stretch where he was really good.
yeah. Obviously, like I still would probably rather have ETN, but I didn't see it as that big of a downgrade. So I was willing to do it. That was kind of, I really just wanted Chase and knew I had to shop Fields with where I was at.
Well, Longworth,
Yeah,
you had a lot of offers for Chase. And
Yeah.
you chose this one. So talk about it.
So what originally the way it worked was I was talking to Gavin, and I was like, look, I had 3 offers. I don't really want to drop names other than Jack. I mean, I think that's kind of the nicer thing to do. But what I really originally wanted to do was to like just straight up 2-for-1 kind of downgrade and like a pivot move. But none of the offers had that. So I had like a 2-for-2 offer, like a 3-for-2 offer. And then this one. And this one I really liked just because I had Fields. Obviously, I've been rocking Lawrence for most of the year, and he's had some good performances, but usually I feel like it's lacking just because of the Jaguars. Of course, he just went for 35 or whatever this week after I dropped him. But I got offered Fields, and Fields, while he does have that pretty bad schedule, it's still just really hard to not want him just because of that super high rushing upside. So yeah, I was like, kind of like what Gavin said, Chase and Higgins. Well, I do think Chase is better. Higgins still has games where he like outperforms Chase due to like defense scheming, and like Chase gets bracketed or something. So hopefully that happens. And then Gibson and Fournette was kind of just like a really shit for shit, like swap.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna do it if I had to give up ETN just because I think ETN has a much higher upside than any of those guys, and I think Fournette's floor is higher than Gibson's, but like it's a 10-point floor versus like on like a 5 or 6-point floor. Yeah, I'm just gonna put Gibson in like my second flex and just pray.
I also will say my initial offer included Foreman instead of Gibson, and Luke wanted Gibson over Foreman, and that kind of surprised me because honestly, like Foreman going forward more than I do Gibson, just because he gets 20 plus touches a game. He's had like 4 100-yard rushing games. Obviously, he's pretty touchdown dependent, but I also feel like Gibson is, and Dante Foreman just has much more opportunity. So I thought I was able to give up less than I wanted to, but everybody values players differently. So
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was a good trade for most people involved. I like
most of them.
What for?
at
what
least
other
2 of them.
people
At
don't?
least 2.
All right, the next trade, LJ and Pasowitz.
Najee and Burks.
This kind of was in the middle of Paswitz's random
Trade frenzy.
trade fleecing, I would say. He just got random upgrades that were kind of
From
inexplicable. And not only in this league either. And so it's just, but yeah, so I mean, that kind of hints at my belief about this trade. And obviously Najee's been playing much better, and I think he's a little bit undervalued. And Kenneth Walker's hurt now, so maybe this will end up being a good trade for LJ. It's kind of hard to we talk about trades so much, and we can instant react and we can overreact.
Yeah.
But value of trades can really change in like one day or like 1 week. And so try not to overreact. And I think we did overreact on this one when it first happened, similar to how we overreacted on the Dynasty one as well. But immediately you look at this and it's like, okay, Olave is better than Burks and Walker is better than Najee. So why did LJ do this? And LJ said he wanted the upside. And so you can see, okay, Najee has had 20-point games in him, 30-point games in him, including last year.
He has had specifically one 20-point game.
Yeah. And then Treylon is kind of like that A.J. Brown type build, and you can see him turn into like a 8-catch, 120-yard and a touchdown, And so maybe that's what LJ was seeing. But I think he's buying Burks and Najee at their ceiling because he traded away Walker, who's been phenomenal, 27, 13, 16, and Olave, who's been solid, like a top 20 receiver for the rest of the way, or top 15 maybe. And so, it looks like a bad trade on the surface. We'll see how it pans out in the playoffs because anything can happen in the playoffs, and Burks is on his way back, and Kenneth Walker's out now. So, what do y'all think? Any thoughts besides that?
This trade was made post Treylon injury. It's just a concussion, but still, wasn't it? I think it was after he got injured.
It was 3 minutes after Longhorn's trade.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll be pretty quick here. I think it's a double downgrade. I think Burks has a high ceiling, but I feel like Olave kind of does too. So I don't think Burks' ceiling is that much higher than Olave. And Olave is going to be probably more consistent. The only thing that sucks about Olave is you watch the Saints game, it's like, where is he? Why is he not on the he should get a 70 to 90% snap share. And he gets
he's just not there.
It's just not there, which doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, I don't know the whole story. But yeah, it's a clear Walker and Najee is night and day, clear downgrade, obviously. And then Olave and Burks, I can't even really see the argument for Burks over Olave at this point, but I think it's a dumb trade.
Yeah, Longs, you agree? I know you already traded away Walker.
Well, I traded away Walker after one good game just because I didn't expect it to be sustainable, and obviously I'm a clown for that. Right?
I remember. Sorry, I don't want to. But you were
not to do it.
You were like, I'm shipping Kenneth Walker, and I was like, what? Why does he
no,
want to give him up?
Everyone told me I shouldn't do it, and I didn't. So I'm an idiot this year. But this trade would make sense in certain contexts. Like, for example, it happened in week 14. If LJ needed to win to get into playoffs and you have to move Kenneth Walker and an underperforming Olave who's on bye, sure, do it. There wasn't any need for this trade. I think LJ's been sitting on Olave, and he's told me multiple times how he does not like Olave. And Kenneth got hurt, and I don't think. Do we know the extent of that injury? Is it?
He practiced in full already, so he's basically back.
But it's there's just no need. You're kind of this reminds me of a Gavin trade 4 years ago.
Yeah, where it's just why did you do this? You only got worse.
Yeah, why, dude? Your team you're sitting on your hot seat too much and getting antsy.
We talk about how there's randomness built into fantasy, and obviously this could go either way. LJ could still win this trade. but there's no reason to expect Burks to be better than Olave and Walker to be better than Harris. It
Exactly.
could still not work out that way, but it would be out of the blue and surprising. There's
And
nothing.
Go
Yeah.
to Burks. So Green Bay, he has 18, and he had I think 11 points, and then with 2 minutes left, Vrabel
Garbage
just
time.
pulled a fuck you and ran a play action deep bomb to Traylon when they could have kneeled the game out. So he got another 7 points there, and then against Cincinnati, he picked up a fumble in the end zone. There's a real chance that we're looking at Traylon since returning goes 5, 11, and 11, and then obviously he had the 10 points in the first quarter. I don't see how he's that much more valuable than I don't want to beat it a dead bush, but it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Except it's from Arkansas,
much
so it's got that dog.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah.
Next
Just that
trade.
guy. Next trade is Terry and Pasowitz. Another toilet bowl trade where,
Jeez.
I mean,
Now this one,
this trade at the
this-
time.
this hurts to look at, bro. Oh my gosh. Only because
Just killed Williams. That's the
all
only
four
reason
of
this
those
trade.
players destroyed me, and without them, Jack would have put 70 on the board.
No, I think they combined for 110.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
over 100.
Because Sanders went for 28, Judy went for 35, and Ingram went for 40.
Yeah,
And Tua went for 15 or whatever, but I think they combined for a solid 110.
yeah, and he would have started Lamar, who had 5 or 0,
He
I
didn't
guess, or
play.
Huntley, who
He
had
didn't
5.
play.
Lamar, I think, was out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would have started
I couldn't-
Huntley.
I couldn't play him in the Dynasty League.
Or maybe he picks up T-Law.
Oh. Anyway, at the time again, and our overreaction said, Jack, what are you doing? You just gave up Keenan Allen for
bunch of
Paswit's 4
scrubs.
best bench players, and obviously, you're in the toilet bowl, so it doesn't really affect the winner bracket, but it looks dumb because it's
Dude, Evan Ingram's the tight end
that's
4
wild.
now.
4 in the year.
that was 5
How?
games combined into one.
Yeah, dude,
That's
on
hilarious.
average tight end scoring, which is 8 points a game, he just put up 5 weeks.
He's the tight end 4 in the year, and he has a 3-game stretch where he goes 2 points, 4.4, 1.1, 1.4.
Oh,
That's crazy.
killed me.
That's absurd.
Yeah, that's bad. And then Judy,
33 points.
hat trick.
Sanders, 28 points. Just wild.
Yeah, so
At least Sanders
great
makes
trade.
somewhat sense, but
Yeah,
Good job,
Sanders is a
Jack.
good player.
Good job,
um,
Jack.
I hope that those players just suck in the toilet bowl, and the only thing that comes from this trade is that William loses the bye because of it and ends up on my side of the bracket.
No, and then watch me absolute crap the bed this game, and then just go off for the rest of the tournament, and would have
All
won if I
because-
kept the bye. Oof.
Pasowitz and Terry conspired against you.
Yeah.
Man.
What else is new?
I mean, I think this trade helped both teams. I didn't really hate it at the time, just because Sanders and Judy and Tua all were going to help Jack. I thought Ingram was just a meaningless throw in, but what do I know? Apparently, he's the 4th best tight end in fantasy. But and I thought that it's good for Pasowitz to upgrade to Keenan, who's had
Yeah.
a bunch of good games since coming back.
yeah.
Looks like this is a win-win trade for everyone involved,
Yeah.
Yeah.
except for
agree.
William.
I
Longworth
agree.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's weird. I think Jackson, funnily enough, is in that kind of position where he needs to upgrade
somehow.
somehow. Weirdly enough, sorry, my dog is about to throw up. So I needed to make sure he doesn't do anything bad.
I
Oh,
can
that-
hear the
I can hear that.
Yeah.
That was really gross.
That's nice.
But yeah, and Terry just needs anything. Terry's team, he needs the 4 scrubs. that a lot of people would be looking to move just for like depth. So I think it was a good trade.
Yeah. I think if you look at it, it's basically like Sanders and Brian Robinson. Sanders is a clear upgrade. And then he's trading Keenan Allen for Ingram, Tua, who's been a really good quarterback,
Yeah.
and then Judy, who like we didn't expect that from Judy. So I guess it makes sense. Terry's like it's weird because like when I try to trade with Terry, he asks for like my two best players and gives me DeAndre Swift, who's just been basically a bag of chips this year. Because he had one good game and thought he was like Jesus Christ, apparently. But it really was a good trade in hindsight. So
The benefit of hindsight.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next one. This is somehow Brett made a trade. He made a trade with James, and then.
Well, it's with his roommate, so it barely counts.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Do we need to talk about? I'm not pulling up all these individual players. This
I
is
will.
a toilet bowl trade.
It's an absolute.
In
garbage. It's just-
in these kind of trades where there's not really a bunch of value being turned, I normally follow, well, which side is getting less assets is generally better, and then which side is the best player going to. And both of those fulfill James's side.
Yeah,
So I
James
think this
gets
is a smart
White.
move by James. Gets Rashad White, Cole Kmet, who's been fine, and then gives up kind of three receivers that he was having to decide between one of them every week. And so
There is one player that you want to start in this entire trade, and it's Rashad White.
for Rashad White.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And for that reason, James wins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%.
And then Cole Kmet is a good tight end. He's not a good fantasy player, but he's a good tight end.
Yeah. I'm trying to
He's all right
figure
for
out what
fantasy.
Brett was thinking here. Because, like, at this point in the year, you don't need, like, a bench full of guys that could be valuable down the road. Like, you're just trying to find, like, 8, maybe 9 guys that you feel confident in starting. And he traded away one of them for 3 guys that I would feel horrible about starting every single week. And he doesn't
Well-
need that, like, that depth, in my opinion, because he's got Derrick Henry. He would have had Rashad White, Aaron Jones. Akers is retaking over the backfield. Dobbins is retaking over the backfield. So, like, I don't even see him starting any of these players in the trade going forward. But
I'm sure what James said is that you need a flex because Brett ended up starting both Gallup and Hollins in this game. And this was off of a Gallup 18.2 touchdown game. And so maybe he was thinking, Gallup is good. And I think it was a good move by James and trying to articulate what Brett might have been thinking. He might have been, excited about Gallup getting the end zone targets or Matt Collins, 11, 16, 8, 9 targets, I don't know.
yeah, true.
It's in the toilet bowl though, so we'll see how much it affects. These are kind of low value players, so might not be very much movement. Next trade though is with Gavin and
Longworth, I think.
Longworth.
Yeah, let's talk about this one before he gets back.
Oh yeah. This is a really bad beat for Longworth. Damian Pierce is out for 3 weeks.
Is he a
And,
fit? You're just seeing that, right? Like,
well, look. It's 1 to 3, but it's a mild high ankle sprain, and ankle sprains are 2 to 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks. And so it's like if you have a mild high ankle sprain, it's probably 2 to 4 weeks. So I'm just saying 3.
He's probably done for the year. Damn.
I mean, yeah, I don't see why they would bring him back as the Texans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they just waived Benjamin, so it's like, we'll just Jeff Driscoll that thing.
They need to sign Pierre Strong.
Please get him off. We can talk about that later. This trade, I feel like this was a good. I still like this trade for me. I think it makes my team better.
It's a very,
Because-
very, very well timed trade, too.
Yeah.
Because
Although it
Elijah
didn't
Moore.
feel like it didn't feel like that on Monday.
Well,
Wayne
look,
Ramondo went
this
down.
literally was like if you had thought this was even at the time, everything went wrong for one side and everything went right for the other. So DJ
Yeah.
Moore, no points, no targets. Damian Pierce out for the
Game
playoffs.
day to day with a knee sprain.
And then Elijah Moore, 10 targets, talented receiver, finally making away with Mike White and McLaurin, who was on bye, but is still a great receiver. And obviously you gave up an injured player for him. So great job, Gavin. It was a good trade.
Yep.
I did not realize McLaurin was on bye until after I traded for him. Luckily, it did not matter because I
I was
had
gonna
already
say,
got the bye, but I was like,
yeah.
oh, shit. Samaje Perine time.
I also would like to. I don't know if Luke will make it back in time, but after just trading for Antonio Gibson, you kind of get the same exact player in Damian Pierce, and it didn't really make
I wouldn't
sense.
say that.
You don't think so?
Damian Pierce owns the backfield. Gibson is honestly the
Yeah.
backup now.
Well, I mean, look at Damian Pierce. He's getting like 8 points. Antonio
Yeah, but
Gibson
he's also
get
getting
8 points.
80% snap shares. And he's getting
Okay,
bad.
80% snap shares on an offense that moves the ball 40 yards in the whole first quarter is not good.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
Unless it's the Cowboys.
Damian
then
Pierce,
they can
Damian
move the
Pierce
ball.
is super talented. And the only reason he doesn't score points is when his team just completely gives up. Which does happen because it is the Texans and they're not trying to win, they're trying to get a good draft pick. Like you saw
Yeah.
at the end of the game thing they ran against the Cowboys, they were not trying to win. But
Maybe Longworth was recognizing that he had Gibson and McLaurin and was like, I'll get rid of one of them. And maybe
I mean,
he was
I offered straight up McLaurin for Pierce, and then we added the Moore, then I added DJ Moore, and he didn't want to have to drop anyone, so we threw in Elijah Moore because Elijah Moore had been terrible all year.
Yeah, he was droppable, and then now he's
And then the only reason Elijah
Speculative.
Moore was good was because Chris Davis got hurt.
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis.
Yeah, Corey Davis. My bad. Casual.
But he's out. He's out.
Yeah,
this week.
so it works out, but I think that's why it ended up being a 2-for-2 instead of a 1-for-1.
Mhm. But yeah, I don't think Luke's
You're
gonna
doing
make it
fine.
back in time. We can talk. We can briefly ask him when he gets back. But loading up again. Now you've got a really good flex. So Gavin's team looking formidable again if Ramondre can get healthy. Next trade is Sutton for Myers. But this was a bit of a
Whatever.
yeah, whatever trade. It was kind of like I was tired of Sutton on my team, and Jack was tired of Myers on his team. In the end, I mean, I'll let you articulate why you like Sutton more than Myers. I just like Myers more than Sutton because I just think the Broncos' offense is terrible. Sutton, Judy was coming back, and Sutton is like, will go an entire game with like 2 points and then on one drive get like 10 points. And then he looks like he had a good game, but really it was like, no, they were just down by 14 with one drive left. And so I was like, you know what? I'll go with Myers, who's been fine, but he's just been banged up. But obviously you have a different reason that you like Sutton over Myers. You can go ahead.
I don't really. I hate this. Rip Jabroni, man. I was a big Jabroni guy, obviously, and then he just got hurt once and like hasn't really recovered. And a lot of it was I was starting to get frustrated with the Patriots offense. It's turned into like Mac Jones steps back and just fucking checks it down to Ramondre Stevenson, and I was getting pissed off. So
As a Mac
ahead.
Jones, someone who is a Mac Jones hater, Mac Jones number one hater right here, ever since he was at Bama, and then also despise Matt Patricia as a Lions fan. This season has been magical for me. Just to get to
Yeah.
watch both of them be awful, it's dream come true because Patricia's just been absurdly bad, and then Mac Jones watching his downfall. I used to pray for times like this.
Yeah. So I don't really know. Like, I honestly think Myers is the better player. But Sutton's just been way more consistent this year. And he still has that deep threat.
If they
Like-
can ever score touchdowns.
If they can ever score touchdowns, like I knew I was about to get rid of Gabe Davis. And I think Sutton, like, he scores double digits every week and he's had one touchdown. So I'm like, if maybe I roll him out in the championship game and he's like somehow like positively regresses and scores 2 touchdowns, like that can win me the league. And like Myers, it could happen with him, but you know how Myers is with touchdowns, man. So I don't know. It might come back to bite me because I still really do like Myers, and I think Sutton's fine. So it's just kind of like a whatever. I don't know. Fuck it.
But the real incentive or another incentive about this trade was what happened right after, because Jack was in multiple trade talks, and less than a minute later, this one was accepted. Foreman and I don't remember exactly, Jack,
Foreman and Gabe Davis.
for Montgomery, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Foreman and Gabe Davis for Montgomery. After James gives away his entire bench receiving core, he gets one back in Gabe Davis, and then he gets Foreman, who's 20 plus touch running back on not the best offense, but an offense that can score some. And in return, Jack gets Montgomery, who has Herbert coming back, but has still been phenomenal and is a perennial playoff hero. So
Yeah. It's what he does.
we'll see if that pans out for Jack. Any thoughts on this trade, Gavin or Luke?
Sorry for leaving. That was the grossest thing I've experienced in a while. So I had to take an extra
I
long
feel
time
for
to
you,
take
man.
care of it. I almost threw it myself. It was gross. But
Like-
for this trade, I think Jack did the right thing. I think from everything I've kind of picked up on, Jack almost feels like he's in the need to like assemble the troops for the playoffs and like kind of like try to get on equal stages with other playoff teams. I think this is one of those moves that you kind of have to make. That you should make if you're Jack too. So like Gabe Davis, he gets like a 16% target share. And while it's on the Bills, so like they're good targets. He's either going for 25 or 2. Not literally, but so you get rid of that, and then you get rid of Foreman, who's really touchdown dependent for Montgomery, who is still in that timeshare in the Chicago offense, but like he just has a such safer floor, and like he'll get you that 12. That the other two might not. And he still has big game potential. So like I thought it was a great move, kind of an upgrade thing to try to compete. I liked it for both sides.
Yeah, I think y'all are pretty much spot on. I was at the point where it's like, all right, my team isn't as good as most teams I'll be playing against, so I need to trade any depth that I have and try and upgrade, even if it's like a minor upgrade. And I think this is a pretty significant upgrade. Davis, like, I was really excited about him because he was like a borderline, like he was a mid-tier wide receiver too, getting like 5 targets a game at the beginning of the year. And I was like, oh, if he starts like demanding more targets, he could be really good. He could be like maybe a league winner in the Bills offense. And he starts demanding more targets and he gets worse. I don't know how that is. But so yeah, I think it was time for me to kiss Gabe Davis goodbye. And I was really trying to hold on to him. I was trying to give James Foreman and Sutton for Montgomery, which honestly I think would have been way better for him because he's in the toilet bowl. He doesn't like. I feel
He
like
needs floor.
you need the floor, and I tried to convince him that so much. And he was like, "I'm trying to stay away from the Broncos' offense." I was like, "It doesn't matter. Sutton's like double digits every game. Gabe Davis might literally lose you games." And I wanted to keep Davis just because, like, I might need that crazy 2 touchdown, 150-yard game, which he could still give. But at that point, I was like, no, this is a trade I need to make. And I was a little worried of Montgomery because I kind of talked to William about this. Like, I saw Herbert was coming back. I was like, oh, no. And then I looked and I was like, since Herbert has left, Montgomery has literally had the same amount of touches. So I don't think Montgomery is – performance is dependent on if Khalil Herbert is performing well. He's still going to get the same amount of touches. So, yeah, I was all in. That was kind of my thought process behind it.
Yeah,
Good
I think
call.
it's good.
And I think with the elevated Bears offense, I mean, it's just greater scoring opportunity for Montgomery, and I think it was a good move. I was also interested in Montgomery, but I mean, I had a bunch of scrubs, so. All right, well that does it for the trades. The trade
Yes.
frenzy. And it leads into what we have today. Week 14 passes, and then these are the brackets. We got the winners bracket up here, with Gavin has pulled his lineup so that he can remain mysterious for whatever reason. And
Boardman said,
and the toilet bowl. Passwitz and James getting buys. And we'll see what happens. So we'll start with the toilet bowl.
Yeah, good call.
We're gonna give our predictions. We're gonna talk
Okay.
about each team. And then kind of at the same time, so because we don't have matchups, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to look at.
I'm just gonna pull up both teams. I've got it. Yep, that's all right. Yeah. And I'll have to switch back.
No Murray.
Ooh, who's he gonna have? Kirk.
Oh, Kirk's good.
Kirk at noon.
Yeah,
All right,
Kirk.
this is
Noon Kirk against the Colts.
Although it is, I'm pretty sure that's a Saturday game, so that is a solo window game. Does Noon Kirk still apply if it's the only game on at that time?
No.
yes.
No, it doesn't. I think it cancels out.
Oh,
Net
we'll have to see.
Kirk. Net zero Kirk. All right, so we're looking at this is Spencer and Brett.
Yes. First
Spencer
toilet
and
bowl.
Brett. Rip the dream for Brett. A phenomenal team. I think it was top 6 in scoring, and he finds
It was
himself in
top
the toilet
4.
bowl. Top
Yeah,
4
he finished
in
fourth in scoring.
Finds himself
Yeah,
in the
it's
toilet
really
bowl.
unfortunate.
That
That
is
shouldn't
just
be happening.
so unlucky. So unlucky for Brett.
Man, check your trades. It's karma.
That's right. I
I
mean,
know I
that's
made that joke in the group last night, but I think it applies, man.
I agree.
Yeah, that's brutal.
This is
He
what
just
you
lost
deserve.
Debo for the year too. So kind of a good thing he has these receivers now. So we're looking at a Debo-less Brett and a Kyler Murray-less pass. Damn, Spencer. This
So
is
that's-
cool. I mean, it's he's got CeeDee Lamb, he's got Pollard against Jacksonville. I think that could be an electric game. And I don't know what are y'all's predictions for this one?
I mean, what's the projection? I want to know. Because
Um,
Well, he doesn't have a QB in right now or a
Yeah.
tight end.
Brett's projected 113.
I think it'll
It's
be
still-
about the same.
Yeah, it'll be pretty
You get a
similar.
tight end and a QB in there.
tough to find a QB on the waiver wire.
He's got Kirk.
It's got Kirk.
But tough to, I meant tight end.
Oh.
I said QB, but I meant tight end. He'll probably get about 0 points from his waiver tight end, but should have accepted Greg Dulcich, man. Told you.
For real.
I think Brett's team is still really strong. I like
Yeah.
Henry, I like Jones, I like Metcalf a lot, and then Hawkinson against Indianapolis. What happened to Dobbins? Did y'all see that run?
Yeah, he runs like a guy who's had a bunch of knee surgery.
Yeah, it did not look good.
What happened?
There's just a
Yeah.
run of him. He should have broken away for a touchdown and just kind of limps his way down to the 10-yard line.
He
Yeah,
got
I think
asked
so.
about it after the game, and he just said he's out of shape, which would make sense if you
Yeah,
missed 10 games.
bunch of games.
But it did not good look. Like it looked like fundamentally his run was just bad. And maybe
Like, I run
it's
like that.
Yeah, it was bad. Y'all got you should look it up. Or maybe you could pull
Yeah,
it up,
I'll
Gavin.
go back.
But anyway, talking about this, I mean, we've seen the teams. Jack or Luke, do y'all wanna jump in really quick?
Yeah, I think Brett's team's still good. I think, as great as Debo was, he gets Mac Hollins out of the starting lineup there. Him and Ayuk have been pretty comparable, and Ayuk's been getting me like 12 and like 13. I don't think that in the Brock Purdy San Fran offense, we're gonna have a Debo 25-point game. I just don't think it's really in the cards now with CMC taking away Debo's rushing.
Well, not anymore.
Wait, what?
Not anymore with Debo.
Yeah. But my point is like losing Debo doesn't hurt him as
Oh,
much.
I was looking for
Um,
the tweet and got distracted. Sorry.
so like I still think Brett's pretty strong. Um,
Yeah, I would take Brett too.
Cool. Brett sweeps.
Brett
I think-
solos.
You know, if he gets a good tight end, we could definitely see Spencer win this one. Because I mean, he's got a good team, and Pollard's been playing phenomenal. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game. If you had McCaffrey, I'd take Spencer. No, I'm just playing.
I mean, yes.
Maybe
I'm
so.
ironic that I probably would go Spencer here if he had McCaffrey, but
Oh yeah.
it is close. These are pretty evenly matched teams. Two teams that could have an argument for being in the playoffs.
Next,
A little bit of bad.
next matchup. Yeah. They both have, the beginning, like the top half. If you cut off the top half, it looks like a playoff team, and then the bottom half is just like that. Next matchup is
Me and Terry.
Longworth and Terry. Oh man, that
Not-
stinks.
Not a matchup you normally see in the toilet bowl.
No, not at all. New look Terry looks kind of good. Sanders, Swift, Judy, Pittman, Ingram, Lazard, Slade.
Ingram still projected
You-
7.
Yeah,
after-
You can see like the makings, right? The signs of a good manager, right? Like it's like you got some players that have some upside that might be a little bit undervalued, but are really coming into form, and you can like, okay, that player, is pretty good, and they can really outperform their projections. There's some signs of good managing, but he's been kind of riddled with injuries. He's gotten unlucky with some trades, and he finds himself
Another
in
talk
toilet bowl.
about injuries and bad luck. Terry had 7 players injured or on bye last week.
And put up
And still
140
Still
on
put
my
up
face,
140
bro.
on you.
Ah.
He's just that
Anyway.
good.
Finds himself playing against Luke. New look Luke team. He finally has the players he traded for in his lineup between Gibson, Higgins, Moore.
Although
Um,
Damian Pierce is out, which kind of blows.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have Justin Fields now. So you got Damian Pierce and a quarterback. Plus, it's a dynamic duo in one player. Anyway, Fields, ETN. Hopefully we see ETN back on track. And then Higgins, if he plays, obviously is a great player. Ayuk with no Debo. We'll have to
It's
see
an
where those
upgrade.
targets go. And Big Cock Brock looks like he can extend the field much better than Jimmy. So I think that really benefits Ayuk. Donovan Peoples-Jones is the big takeaway that I love this. He's been balling out. I tried to trade for him and was immediately shut down because Luke did not want Sutton. And then he goes for 8 for 12. And so, or 8 of 12 for 114. And I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is that league-winning type build where
Mhm.
I would be scared to play against him in the playoffs. And you know what? It reminds me of it. It reminds me of Amon-Ra St. Brown being 32% rostered at this time last year. And Donovan Peoples-Jones is 38% rostered. I think it's going to be the
That's
exact
not-
same thing where Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to get like 19, 20, 20. I'm calling my shot now. But I think he's like that league winning type of player, or like playoff winning type of player. Unfortunately, he's in the toilet bowl, but hopefully.
Or fortunately, the way you look at it.
Oh yeah, true. Hopefully,
Fortunately for
pans
me.
out for Luke. And as far as the matchup goes, what do y'all think, Jack? What do you think?
Well, I think I have to take Luke because I traded with him. So that's just kind of the rule of thumb. And honestly, man, Terry's getting a lot of like votes to win the toilet bowl, but let's be honest, his team is probably not the worst, but also it's not amazing. So I like Swift projected 15. What, he had 120, well, all of a sudden projecting him 15 points. I don't know.
A little bullish.
So I don't projections aside, I'll take Luke.
I see an easier path for Luke to win this than Terry. So I think I'd probably have to go with Luke here.
Should I talk about it or like could I just
Go
like, say
for it.
myself we need to move on for sake of time?
No,
Um,
we're good. Go for it.
It's like kind of a weird spot because I think for every like positive, I also have like a negative, or I like don't
Yeah.
other people's Jones. Huge positive with Deshaun Watson. Like I think the 10-point projection from him is criminal based on like what we've seen and like you know. Uh, but DJ Moore sucks.
Thank God.
Like no, I have Fields now with the upside, but like I can't start Pierce. So like I feel like my team moved forward in some aspects, but got like worse in others. Because like I don't think Gibson's gonna put up 11 against the Giants. He might if he scores a lucky touchdown, but he hasn't done that in a couple weeks, kind of thing. And then I don't think Terry's team honestly is gonna meet projections. I think Judy's flash in the pan, Ingram's flash in the pan. Sanders might hit 20 again, but I don't know. But I think I slightly take it. But
Yeah, it's kind of a tough matchup to predict. I think there's a lot of things that can go wrong for Luke, T. Higgins, and DJ Moore, and
Mhm.
ETN can all put up like less than 5. But then he's got
I don't
Ayuk
think-
and what, Jack?
T. Higgins, like when he plays the full game, he's
Yeah,
been,
that's the
like,
problem.
10 to 20 points, sometimes 25.
I mean,
But
we
yeah,
just saw
like
him
he's healthy.
active and he had 1 snap.
Oh yeah,
so
no,
it's like,
100%.
what's the deal here? Yeah, hopefully he
100%.
plays.
But if he
definitely. I'm just
plays,
saying
like
that-
he'll be a solid start.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like the things that can go wrong for Luke probably outnumber the things that can go wrong for Jack. Because I
Yeah,
mean, we know what
agree.
Jack's players are.
True.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting one. Hopefully, we see both teams at full strength. Those players can get unquestionable. Moving up into the
Should we look
the-
at Pasowitz and should we finish out the toilet bowl and give our predictions?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, sure, like a March Madness.
Yeah, kind of like a fill out our own
Score each
bracket.
other? All right. Okay, Gavin, you go first.
Okay, I picked Brett, right? Yeah, I picked Brett, and then Brett versus. Let me see Pastowitz's team.
No,
Or
it'd be
this would be
Spencer.
Spencer versus Pasowitz. These divisions are screwing with me. We can talk about that after the pod, but I don't know. I think Pasowitz is the better team here.
Yeah,
This is actually a
Pasowitz
good
seems pretty
fantasy
freaking
team
good,
somehow.
dude.
This is like a top 4 team in the league, which is crazy.
I'll
Yeah,
take a
what
couple
the heck?
schemes
Top
to get there,
14
but
for what,
Pasowitz is really
Jackson?
good.
Top
Dude, it
14
took like
for
4
what?
scams to get there, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, game,
Camera gets
game
scammed.
recognized game.
I don't know how you accept any Pasowitz trades. Like he did not send me one offer that I was like, oh, I might consider that this
Yeah,
year.
everything he
Everything
said
he
was like,
says
is
is
bullshit.
Bullshit. It's bullshit. How do
Okay,
people
y'all.
do it?
Here's something that I want to mention, and it might backfire. Well, no, I'll save it for after the podcast. I don't want to.
Don't want to
wanna
put
put
yourself
it
on
on
the record
record?
like that.
Yeah, I won't. Yeah.
All right. What do y'all think for Pasowitz versus everyone picked Brett?
Everyone picked Brett to win. Yeah.
So everyone give your
No,
Spencer.
Fill out your whole bracket. We'll go one.
Oh, my whole
bracket.
All right.
Yeah.
So that would be James versus Terry. So interdivisional matchup in the playoffs here. I kind of like James's team more than Terry's team too. So I kind of think I got to go with Terry as the loser here, which would set up the Spencer versus Terry championship. Or
That
whatever
would be
you
a
want to
fun
call it.
one.
Oh
I think
my
that would be
gosh.
beautiful. And in that game, I think that. Ooh, seeing them as Tennessee.
That's pretty juicy, right?
That's pretty
Yeah, that's
juicy. Foster Moreau versus Daniel Bellinger, the ultimate tight end matchup.
That's James's team, by the way.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Ingram versus still applies.
Bro, Ingram's elite. He's a top.
You're right, Ingram's
14.
elite.
He's tight end
of
4,
course.
man.
Tight end 4 in the year. Good grief. Yeah, I kind
That's
of.
hysterical.
I think I got to go with Terry to lose the toilet bowl, even though he had the.
Brutal.
Yeah, I've got Terry.
Scenes.
We had him on the
Spencer
podcast when he was
Schaefer.
4-0.
Man, that was the curse. We cursed him. The council curse.
The only guest
Hey.
on the pod this year.
I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of taking some jabs while he's here, so maybe he got what he's.
He knew too. He we were all looking at this team, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a little rough." He was modest about it, at least. Yeah. All right. Well,
Well,
Y'all
we
can
got to
figure
do
it
our
out.
losers bracket.
huh?
We got to do our losers bracket.
Yeah. William, what do you think? Who you got?
Well, scroll back down. Scroll back down.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'll go with Brett beating Spencer. Pasowitz beating Brett. Spencer's lessons. Spencer, unfortunately, he's got a brutal path, but Spencer to the finals, and where I believe he will be facing the loser of.
James and
James
Terry.
and Terry.
Yeah, probably James and Terry. And I think Terry's going to beat James. So I think it'll be Spencer versus James. And I worry for James. And so I think James might be at risk of the Wahoo Challenge. I'll go
Back
think
to
he beats James.
All right, I'll run through mine. I'm actually going to go back on one of my picks. I'm going to take Spencer beating Brett. I think the
Okay.
karma continues for Brett.
yes.
And then I'm sticking to Longs over Terry. So that sets up for Jackson versus Brett and Terry versus James. I actually think I like Terry's team a little bit better than James, so I'll take James to the ship. And I think Jackson beats Brett. So the karma continues for Brett, and it's Brett versus James, the roommate. Which one's going to go to Wahoo?
They should just both go for 12 hours.
They should. I mean, I don't know. What if they tied? I don't know.
Make
But,
a gentleman's agreement for the Waffle House challenge at the toilet bowl. We each
Yeah.
do 12.
So I think it's going to be James. I think his team is just a little bit worse than. It's slightly worse than everyone else's, or a lot worse. So
All right, Longs, what do you think? You gonna put yourself in the bowl championship?
So, what is LJ talking about? I think Brett beats Spencer. Jackson beats Spencer. Spencer is just a rough beat, by the way. I think in terms of like fantasy pros rankings, which I know everyone takes with a grain of salt, me, Terry, and James are the bottom 3 worst teams in the league. And we're all on one
This is
side.
the opposite of this
I
side.
think
of the
I'm
bracket.
down there.
And then Spencer has to deal with 2 playoff caliber teams, according to Fantasy Pros, in the toilet bowl. So Spencer just gets fucked on, unfortunately. And so he ends up in the championship. And then I beat Terry, which I could see not happening, but fingers crossed I beat Terry. And then, I think James might pull it out. James's team isn't awful. I think Terry's team is a lower floor, so I'm going to pick Terry's team to lose that. And then I do think Terry beats Spencer. So I think Spencer ends up in the toilet.
All right, so we all have different losers or winners.
With
Right.
me and William have James.
Okay. I thought you had Brett, but
No, I'm gonna do
your
Megan.
hate could only go so far.
Yeah.
I'm going to make some beginning of the year power rankings in case LJ ever articulates what that request is. So we'll talk about Wingfield and LJ first because
Yes.
I think a general consensus is that me versus Max is where all eyes will be week 1 of the playoffs. So LJ and Wingfield, a little rivalry. Is this interdivisional? Yep, interdivisional.
This is division game.
Now we can look at some good teams. Okonkwo was a great pickup. I'm not sure if he'll be
Yes.
starting him, but we have Wingfield on the screen here. The Diggs Allen stack. Hopefully their return to greatness against Miami on a Saturday night primetime. Devontae Smith's been phenomenal. Ezekiel Elliott returned to form. Joe Mixon, not a good matchup against Tampa Bay. And then Hopkins with no Kyler, so we'll have to see how that goes. Versus the
Win for the
LJ's
league.
team, which was 6th seed, but I think is way better than 6th seed. And before the Kenneth Walker trade, when he had McCaffrey and Garrett Wilson, um, I think that LJ had a very, very good team, and I was worried. And I had actually told Jack, I was like, you know what? I think I might have texted it to y'all. I think Garrett Wilson is gonna win LJ the championship. LJ definitely has the type of team
He still
that
has
will
Garrett
win.
Wilson.
Right. But like when Garrett Wilson
Yeah.
was like in his flex,
Yeah, I hear you.
when LJ definitely looks like he has the type of team that will Larson his way to the championship and just win.
Yes.
And I still think that is definitely in the possibility. It looks like one of those teams where it's like, how do I lose this team? But they just keep putting up 130, 150. And then they end up winning it because one player will go off every week. So I'm scared of LJ's team, and I'm going to take LJ round 1.
I'm less scared now that he doesn't have Olave and Walker, but I kind of agree with you. I think that Wingfield probably has the higher average score on the week, I imagine, but I don't think that he will be as consistent. Or I think he'll be more consistent, but I think that LJ is going to put up one good game and probably beat him, just looking at matchups and kind of what I expect to happen. Unless, of course, we see the Diggs Allen stat go off. But my pick here is also LJ.
Yeah. I think with Wingfield, you kind of alluded to the Allen and Dix sack. That's kind of been lackluster recently, and it's kind of hurt his team a little bit. I don't feel like his team's been quite as strong, but I think Wingfield had the most potential out of anybody in the league to make a really good team, and he just like I don't know wasn't interested in trading because I felt like he had 5 running backs that were like top 20 at one point. So I don't know. I mean, I think Zach's team is pretty solid, but I think it could have been better, and he didn't really make that move to elevate his team like a lot of other teams did. So I don't know. It's kind of like I think LJ's trade that he made with Jackson might bite him in the ass, but I'll take LJ here.
I'm gonna go off the beaten path and say Zach wins because LJ's trade did bite him in the ass with Jackson. I think Zach's team I think overall has a higher floor than LJ's. And I think that Zach's team hits its floor while LJ's doesn't perform to expectation.
All right. Now on to the game of the week, so to say.
Y'all start talking about it. I'm still working on this.
Trying to find the beginning. LJ's
Yeah.
power rankings.
Yeah.
Did you pick between Zach and
Yeah, I
LJ?
took LJ.
All right, you and I
I was
both.
the only one that took Zach, yeah.
All right, this is the big matchup of the wild card round of the playoffs. This is pretty wild that neither of these teams got one of the buys. Thanks to Jack and his tenacity and his will to win and outstanding fantasy defense. But I know that we've talked about Max's team some, and we do think that it's a bit overrated by Sleeper, and I think he'd probably agree with that. Kamara's all consistently projected 17. Mike Evans is projected almost 14. Deontay doesn't normally score that much, but there's still some players that are underrated too, like Watson has outperformed that consistently. But I still, in spite of thinking it's a bit overrated, this is still one of the best teams in the league. Pretty easy to see. And then James is really James. Why did I say James? Williams is pretty pretty solid as well. I think that these are two of the top 3 teams in the league, all on one side of the bracket with me, which I love to see, of course. But between these two, Xavier Knight, the difference maker. Who do y'all expect is going to take this one?
I thought there was gonna be a big build up to your reason there, Gavin. What happened?
Yeah.
You just turned it back over to us.
I was just rambling because William's doing something else, and I'm not used to trying to do the lead-ins.
Okay.
Or he always like kicks to someone else. So I felt like that's what I should do.
Okay. Sure.
Or I could just pick. I could just pick too. It's fine.
Yeah, you gave us like 2 minutes of information, man.
I was just reading the rosters. All right. I think Williams got the better team in most positions, even if Dalvin and Taylor have had off years. Adams and Hill and Godwin are all studs. How did James Cook do this game? Badly. Oof. That could have been big for William if James Cook had performed, or if Dylan wasn't on bye. That's tough. Yeah, but no, you don't. He just doesn't have the confidence to start him.
Oh yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
So it's the Xavier Knight show.
Zonovan Knight.
Zonovan Knight. I'm dumb, but he's clearly a stud. So, but I think Williams going to win. He's got 2 of the top receivers, and still another guy, arguably top 10.
Oh yeah, top 2. Devontae Adams. It's got to be the best receiving duo we've ever had.
No, because I had 2019 Devontae Adams and 2019 Mike Thomas on the same team.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
but were they 1 and 2?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were.
Well, this is
Devontae was hurt for some of the
equal.
year, but on a per
Hey,
average
man.
basis, they were 1 and 2.
Hey man, a healthy Cup makes that Cup chase would be that would be up there.
That would
too.
also be elite, but I think this is definitely one of the best receiver duos we've seen, and I love receivers. Obviously, look at my
Oh,
team.
dude. I'm so excited for this matchup. It's gonna be nuts. I've been, I'm not sure. Let's see. Did I beat Max? So I beat Max week 1, and then I beat him week 12, and so I have Max's number so far. But it's word on the street. Third time's the charm. Apparently, that's what the word is.
Had to be the team
and
3
so-
times.
Max, I'm sure, is fired up. He's giving his guys some pep talks. He's ready to beat me. Gavin, I was kind of listening to what you were saying, but I want to hear from Jack and Luke. Did y'all
You
already
missed
say?
anything, don't worry.
Yeah, I didn't. No one's talked except for Gavin. To keep it short and sweet. I feel like we've talked about how good these teams are for so long this year. 2 top 3 teams. Max is the 3rd. Williams the 2nd. I think if we run the simulation, 100 times, Williams going to win 70 of them. So I'm going to bank on probability and say that Williams going to win.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So I think I do think the 3 best teams are on the same side, but I think Gavin and William are in that elite tier, and I think Max is significantly not as daunting as either of those 2 teams. Because really, the Hurts Brown stack is scary, but Brown is also one of those players that's kind of boomer bust. He's either 25 or maybe 10. So he doesn't scare me near as much as a guy like Adams or Tyreek Hill does. And I mean, Williams got 2 receivers better than him. And then outside of Hurts, Brown, and Eckler, no one scares me that much. Even Andrews that's been pretty disappointing. He could turn things around, but and then Christian Watson. I mean, it's just, do you think he's going to score a touchdown every time he touches the ball? Because that's pretty much what's been happening. And if it keeps happening, then he's a winner. But obviously, that's kind of hard to project. So I think it's pretty Williams on another level than Max is. So I like William in the matchup.
Dang, do we get a Williams sweep?
Heck yeah,
Williams
dude.
solos verse.
I hope so. So bad. I need it, bro. I need it. Need the interdivisional.
The William Gavin matchup. I I do not want that. I want to
Let's
face
go.
Max.
Let's go predict our winners bracket.
All right, let's take a look. Kim Palm.
I'll go first for funsies because I think I went last in the last one. I think Gavin advances after beating William.
Max. Who?
Then
Oh, you
I
think?
I think Wingfield beats Jack Phillips. I think
Wow.
Wingfield makes a deep run somehow. And
No, I'm not surprised.
I
Wingfield's got a
think
good
we
team.
talked about, you guys said LJ kind of has that team where like you could just see it keep winning. And everyone's like, what the hell's going on? But it keeps doing it kind of like Larson did that one year. I think Zach also has to a lesser extent that ability. And so he's going to push on to beat Jack. And then Gavin finally takes what's rightfully his in the championship and beats Pookie.
Jack.
First off, I want to say Sleeper is doing me dirty with this projection, man. I was like, I'm projected 102, and then I added up, it was like 116. So thanks, Sleeper, for trying to make me look bad. I don't know what's going on there, but so I've got LJ beating Zach, and LJ's kind of owned me. In fantasy, I feel like every time I play him, he beats me, and it's just like something I can't escape. So I'm getting my revenge in the semifinals, and I'm going to the championship. And hey, I'm gonna say a player on my team that I don't think is getting enough attention in the fantasy world, and is like almost maybe a borderline elite running back at this point is James Conner. I think he could be a big piece for me going forward, because he commands like 99% of the backfield, and the Cardinals' offense is looking good. I feel pretty good about my team, so I'm going to the championship. And then we got William and Gavin. And for me, this is a coin flip. But I've kind of said it before, and I'll say it again. I think if Travis Kelce was on William's team, his team would be better. And he just happens to be on Gavin's team. And it's just like that Mahomes-Kelce stack just elevates Gavin that much more. So I think maybe I'm going a little chalk here, but I'm going to have me versus Gavin in the championship. And I mean, 8-9 times out of 10, Gavin's going to beat me. But I haven't picked against myself all year, and it's worked. So I'm going to pick
That's
myself to win. Why would
Call your own number.
Gavin, you go ahead.
All right. Okay, I did pick William. It kind of makes me uncomfortable to pick the sweep of Max. That's always bad on game day. But maybe if I do that, Max will actually get out. I'd rather play Max than William. But I do think it's William. And William did beat me this year when we played. But that was a fluke, and I think that I'm going to take it and make it to the championship. And on the other side, I kind of also think that I see LJ beating Jack. No offense. So I think it'll be me versus LJ in the championship, which is scary. But I believe in myself, so I'm going to pick myself. I'm manifesting it.
That was my y'all stole my dark horse LJ pick. Well, I was gonna do LJ beating Max in the championship, but instead
Over yourself?
right. Instead,
Yeah.
I will pivot off that. I'll say I beat Max, and naturally I'm gonna beat Gavin, because what is
mentality.
nature if I'm not beating Gavin? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, oh man, this Wingfield LJ matchup's gonna be sweet. I
Yeah,
think I'll
that's
take,
it.
but I gotta go with LJ. And because y'all said LJ, I'll take Jack here. And then I think Jack will exact his revenge against me from the years
For
boiling
tanking.
over for tanking and stealing his championship years ago. I think Jack
no.
beats me in the championship, and all is good again.
He's doing that on purpose. He's trying to
years for this moment.
he's trying to anti-karma himself. Hey man, I appreciate it though. I appreciate it. Everybody Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess I was definitely the luckiest person in the league, but suck it, I guess.
That'd be such a narrative. Jack comes back to
Dude,
get
I
his
know, right? That's a
championship
sick
from
narrative.
William. But you could also pin it as like Jack makes it so far just for William to steal it again.
Oh,
Oh,
I will say, kind of how I picked me against LJ, and the narrative I chose was like LJ owns me. I
yeah.
feel like
It's
every
like the
year,
Saints and the Bucks in the regular season.
I feel like every year I beat, like I have one of my best weeks of the year against William and beat him. Like even the years my teams have like not been
Yeah.
good and his have been. So maybe it'd be kind of like that opposite. I feel like I'm normally somehow beating William, and then he just like shits on me in the championship.
it would be cool if we had enough time, and maybe I'll go back and do this for fun tomorrow because I'm done with finals. To go back in the last few years and compilate the records of head to head and just see like who owns who, you know.
That would be funny.
That would be cool.
I
I'll
own
probably go
Terry.
do that. Well, I think that'll do it. Is there anything else we want to talk about? Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm gonna stop sharing your screen. We're gonna
Yeah.
do this live. I tried to recreate the week 1 power rankings as best I could. But we're gonna finish it together. Okay, so this is on the left here. I don't know if y'all can see this. Hold on. Let me get this off. So this is the week 1, right? So I think we all agreed that like Max had a really good team with the Kamara, Eckler.
We did this though. We actually did this, right?
Yeah,
Where
no,
was
we
it?
went and ranked all of these. We just have to go back and like look at it and find it.
Where was it? I can't find it.
Shared with me.
Was it in an old video?
Yeah, it was in an old video. I don't think we did it
Yeah.
in the drive yet. I don't think we
No,
had
no,
the
no,
drive.
here it is. Let me share my screen here in a sec.
I can stop.
One sec. All right. I'm pretty sure this is the original.
Or was this mid? Is this
No,
midway?
this was the one.
Well, this
This is
was
original.
like week 6 or something, but we hadn't done power rankings like to start the year.
Yeah, because I remember
That's right.
When we
went
first
based
started,
on
Max-
Fantasy Pro ranks.
Max was dominant. Max
No,
was like
this wasn't.
No, we had my team as number 1.
This wasn't based on Fantasy Pro, so we all ranked our own and then averaged all of the rankings together to like formulate, I guess.
when was the last edit on that?
Who knows? Probably a couple months ago.
How do I
Look
look
at
at
it.
that?
I'm not sure.
So like an edit history. Oh,
Is that in the drive?
yeah.
Or do
So,
you share that?
yeah, it's in the drive. It looks like this is. Yeah, I think this is the. If this were this feels like it was week 1 though, because I'll have to
It
go back
wasn't,
and.
I promise. It wasn't week 1.
Okay.
Hold on, I check my edit history somewhere.
Lots of dead
Anyway,
air.
what would y'all say? All right, so if we had to make power rankings now,
I'll give you back.
yeah, so let's do what do y'all think? All right, so what needs to move? Right, so this is week 15. This is kind of just going off of kind of what Fantasy Pros said. And then I had left these blank because I didn't know where to put these. But my qualms with this is that I don't know. I think this is pretty good.
I think that's about what I would say. And then
I would maybe put Jack above Pasowitz, but Pasowitz does have a good team. And then you could argue Wingfield above LJ or Maxwell. I mean, all 3 of these besides Gavin. So Brotherbridge, Max, and me. What do y'all think about the bottom 4 though?
I mean, I feel like I'm glad we have the toilet bowl to determine it, but I think I would say
Spencer,
Terry probably has the
9.
worst team on paper.
Or James.
I think it's like I think Spencer and Longs are about the same.
No,
Probably Spencer a little ahead, and then I would put Terry and James like. I mean, I don't know, a 1A, 1B, or 11B.
Like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
well,
I'll go back and
I guess-
watch the first episode and find what our original rankings were.
yeah. And
'Cause
then
we
we'll
did talk
compare
about
them and we'll send
Yeah.
them out. I think it was something similar like this, though.
We will find out. I don't think it was, but
But I just know, like, look at this, LJ rising up. That's what's rising. Anyway, we're gonna end it there. That'll do it. We'll send those out to y'all so you can see the adjustments and everything.
I'm gonna figure out which one is the exit song. Nope, not that.
Any last words, Jack or Luke?
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
I had my raccoon pizza ready. Never forget. Come on, man.
No. Wait, here it is. There we go.
Nice.
We're a little
That'll
rusty.
do it. Thank you for listening. Good luck, everyone, in the playoffs. I hope you toilet bowl winners win, and everyone
Couldn't
else
be
can help. Good luck out there,
Double
boys.
L, double
So
L.
long.
I will Fortnite you in a minute.
Hey guys, just Gavin here. Wanted to make a little editor's note, something I found interesting. Looking at last week's stats, potentially an advantage for Jack in the playoffs. But if you look at what Juju Smith-Schuster's done since coming back from injury, he's had a bit of a rough patch. But this past week, he was able to catch 9 of his 11 targets for a pretty explosive day. So, could be helpful for Jack in the playoffs. We'll have to see.